Hey preppers, this is Vention. See my grape arbor? Good times. Just thought I would make a channel update on what's been going on. I realize I've been neglecting my prepper channel badly. And the thing is, I've sort of drifted more over toward the MGTOW area. It's like, well, it's this giant growing trend of men who are seeing how completely unfair divorce is, and the divorce laws, the family court system, and men, we just looked at this whole thing and just said, no, not doing it. So basically, and yeah, I got a lot of pushback on this channel from that. So actually, that's the reason I just moved over to my prepper channel. I mean, my MGTOW channel, and I kind of abandoned this channel. But you know, I just wanted to sort of check in and let you know what's going on. Basically, wow, there's a lot to discuss. I bought this house 5 years ago, and right at the bottom of the economic slump of 2008 or 2008, and I ended up buying it in 2012 when the real estate prices bottomed out, and then I got it for like 160,000, and it's in Seattle, and it's like it's a half acre, and I was very happy. I still am. And basically, I ended up selling my condo after the real estate prices recovered somewhat, and in 2015, that's when I dumped the condo, and I basically moved all the money into the mortgage from the condo sale. And all that time, though, I had been purchasing bitcoins. The thing about bitcoins that makes it so attractive is that it's a form of wealth that can't be easily and just instantly seized by government, right? Every other form of wealth we have, except perhaps for very well buried precious metals that are buried in such a way that they are hidden from metal detectors, you know, like big chunks of junk steel, then burying it under that, right? But anyway, that's about the only thing that's more secure than Bitcoin. And if you hold Bitcoin properly, it is yours in a way that nothing else in this world ever can be yours. So, and I was so impressed with it that I just started buying some every month, and all since since late 2013, I've been purchasing, you know, several $100s worth at least a month. And then earlier this year, I actually cashed in half of those bitcoins and paid this house off. So now I am sitting here with no rent to pay, no mortgage to pay, no car payments, no student loans, no credit card debts, no nothing. I have no friggin' debt at all. Well, I don't know, that's a lie. I've got just I had a small repair bill, and it's on a Visa card, and just a couple thousand. So basically no meaningful debt. So, and since then, Bitcoins have gone up so much that, man, I am really looking at the possibility of retiring early. You know, I mean, if I were going to retire here in the United States, I would need a lot more. But since, you know, I'm not married, I can go anywhere I want. I can live in many countries for 22 years, or I did some calculator work. I could live well for 22 years in a lot of places with you know, with just my bitcoins. And then if I add the house onto that, that adds another 25 years. So I could go snorkeling in the afternoon and gardening in the morning, and eat a lot of mangoes, and just go sailing, and I could do all of that stuff for the rest of my life, and I might never need to work again. I mean, a 9-to-5 job. So that is like hugely tempting. But if I were going to stay here in the United States, I would need a good deal more. Like I would need 4 times what I've got now, in savings. And even then it might be iffy because the medical is so expensive in the United States, and the medical insurance, thanks Obama, is so freaking expensive that it just doesn't pencil out to stay here. I'd need to be a millionaire to actually consider retiring 13 years early, which is my current timetable. And yeah, and that's just when I got 2 pensions and so maybe Social Security, if the country and the economy keeps shambling along as it has been. I could probably get those, and even then I'd have to pay medical insurance, and man, it just doesn't pencil out. I might be working the rest of my life. Or like some of my fellow mechanics dying, on the job, like when they were 60 or so, and man, I don't need that shit. Man, I'm really thinking, I'm really strongly considering getting the heck out of here. The only thing is I'd have to give up my guns, man. You can't, in most countries, the citizens have been disarmed, and it's just a hard thing to give up. But I might have to do this because, man, the ability to never have to work again and live comfortably for the rest of my life, that is awfully tempting. I'm looking at Cambodia, although that's awfully hot. I'm also looking at Colombia, which is not as hot, and it's not as nearly as dangerous as it used to be. And I'm also looking at the Yucatan region of Mexico. I could go there. But I'm also looking at Nepal because, man, the cost of living is just non-existent there. And it's even cheaper than Cambodia. And the people are reasonably polite and peaceful, and it's just it could be a slightly uneasy place to live because China is on one side and India is on the other, and they have little conflicts, and Nepal is caught right in the middle. So that could be a downer. But other than that, man, it's awfully tempting. And Bitcoin isn't like a slam dunk in every way because it has been under attack. I mean, as a longtime prepper and silver stacker, I am very much aware, as you guys probably are too, that the central bankers hate anything that allows you to escape their system, right? And they are willing to kill people. They have a long track record of killing and threatening and brutalizing people when they start to become inconvenient to the central bankers' agenda. And I mean, people, it's debatable, it's arguable that not Hitler, but Kennedy and Lincoln were assassinated because of because of them getting in the way of the central banks. So it's really it's kind of dangerous to actually go outside the system this way, as I have, and as Bitcoiners are, because it's you have made a powerful enemy if you can go around the central banks. Preppers and silver stackers are very well aware of that. Remember the Liberty Dollar, where they basically kicked in the doors and stole all the gold and basically just brutalized everybody. it's the same situation, and this they have come after Bitcoiners as well. So it's definitely something that that is resisted, and because imagine how the central bankers would react when Bitcoin, when the plans for Bitcoin are well fulfilled. Currently, we've been fighting the Chinese miners, which are a very centralized system, and we've been fighting them for a year and a half to 2 years to try to get the segregated witness upgrade installed on the network on Bitcoin. And man, have they been resisting it tremendously. And then we did something called a user-activated soft fork, where the individual people who ran full nodes, like me, we basically set things up so that they were forced to accept segregated witness. And then then we got it locked in, and then they started attacking in other ways by forking Bitcoin. The most recent this is Bitcoin Cash, or people call it, Bitcoiners call it Bcash, but it's a very poorly programmed, centralized version of Bitcoin, and that's what bankers want. They want centralization, and it's like centralized miners mining at a loss when the thing should have died, and they're even mining at a loss right now. Bitcoin is like 30% more popular to mine than Bcash. But basically, those people are just they're being subsidized, in my opinion. And I believe they're being subsidized by the people who will be harmed the most by a segregated witness and Lightning Network enabled Bitcoin. And now the next steps are for Bitcoin to adopt are the Lightning Network, which is in development. It's in the test network right now. And very soon we'll have a fully functional Lightning Network on Bitcoin, and that will allow it for people to transfer like tiny sums of money from one person to another anywhere in the world, and the fees will be so low it'll be ridiculous, and the transaction capacity will rival Bitcoin and not Bitcoin, but Visa and MasterCard combined. And when that occurs, it'll allow people in India or Venezuela to go to a fruit cart and buy a couple of mangoes with Bitcoin, and it'll actually be practical for them to do it that way. And they will be able to retain their wealth in a form which they control, and then the central bankers and the local bankers and the government won't be able to just constantly get in the way of whenever they want to transact, and they won't be constantly picking your pocket every month or so due to currency devaluation. And it's just theft. It is absolutely theft, this inflation, and people are getting sick of it. And that is the reason why Bitcoin was developed. And it was developed by a guy who was smart enough to see how brutal these central bankers can be, and he chose to remain anonymous and set things up so that things were very decentralized. Now there are many other cryptocurrencies that are all designed for various things, but they all have an easily accessed group of developers that can just be grabbed and hauled off to a gulag and or threatened, and in order to prevent that cryptocurrency from becoming a threat. But Bitcoin, however, is really showing promise as something that could really defeat those people. And then if things continue as they have, like just recently, Open Bazaar, it's like a dark market that you run on your computer, and it's like kind of like Craigslist in a way, and you can then buy and sell whatever, for Bitcoin, and they've adopted segregated witness, so it's going to be a lot faster, and it's and things are just really developing. Freedom is increasing on this technology, and it is like really scaring and pissing off the central bankers. So I find that very encouraging. But they are not going down without a fight. They've been subsidizing the miners, in my opinion, for the last 2 years to prevent segregated witness from being adopted. And now they just did that recent fork, which was Bcash, and they're subsidizing the shit out of that. And the price should have imploded, but it hasn't. It's still like $500 each or so. And the mining is not even, it's like 30% less profitable than Bitcoin. And yet there are still a bunch of miners mining it, and it is my opinion that those miners are being subsidized by the central banks or their proxies, basically. So those are the people who we are fighting, and so I think it's it's a huge deal, and I've been very impressed with it since 2013. It's like just fire. I mean, it really fired me up. The potential for it to claw back some of the economic sovereignty which has been stolen from us. Like now, if we want to write a check or send a donation to some charity that the government doesn't like, we can't use the conventional financial system. We're forced to use alternative methods such as Bitcoin, but they can't stop it. Like when WikiLeaks, when they tried to close down WikiLeaks by preventing the banking system from serving them, well, people started using Bitcoin to donate to WikiLeaks, and you'll notice that WikiLeaks is still around, whereas the central bankers wanted it killed off. And basically, remember Operation Choke Point back in the Obama administration, where if anybody was doing anything the elites or the government didn't like running gun shops or something, they were put on a blacklist, and their access to the banking system was curtailed, and their checking accounts were closed down, and the businesses had to close because they couldn't do business. But in time, if we have a Lightning and network enabled Bitcoin, man, it is really promising that it will totally depower all of these elite bankers and governments from the ability to get in the way of our transacting among ourselves. So man, that is hugely encouraging, and that's why I've been buying Bitcoin since 2013. So basically, yeah, it's just been a huge deal, and just as I expected it would, the price has gone up dramatically. I started buying when it was like 900 or 950 each, and they kept dropping down all through 2014 until in 2015 they were like $200 each, and man, that was painful. But I kept buying them, and there were months where I bought like 6 or 7 Bitcoins in a month. And nowadays, with the Bitcoins being 4,500 or so, I can't even buy a Bitcoin in 2 months. Basically, I have about $1,000 a paycheck surplus income, because now that I got rid of the mortgage, and at that rate, it takes me like 2 months to buy 1 Bitcoin. But it is, I'm still buying them because the things that the economic trends and that have pushed Bitcoins up to the point where they are now should continue for several more years, especially with all this adoption of new technology and new systems that allow the conventional economy to connect and interface with Bitcoin. Man, it's the sky is really the limit. These things could be like 50, 60, or 100 grand each in a few years. And if that's the case, then I could retire anywhere I want. I wouldn't have to retire in Nepal. I could actually stay right here. That would be, I'm very happy here. Ah, man, it's not fully. I mean, if I was like seriously independently wealthy, I would get rid of this place and move into a more rural location where I could, you know, have several acres instead of just a half acre. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. So I'm not sure if I already covered this. Now that I'm in my 50s, my memory isn't what it was. But so basically, I bought this house in 2012 at the lowest part of the property values, right? I mean, I got this place for 160 grand, and now it's worth about 300 grand. But then basically, I held on to my condo. I rented it out, and then I dumped it onto the market and sold it back in 2015. And I dumped the money into the mortgage here. And then I kept buying Bitcoins all this time. And then earlier this year, I dumped half my Bitcoins and paid off the house. I had sort of a little panic because the price dropped, and it's like every other time I was able to resist the panic, but this time it just got me. And if I had held on to those Bitcoins, I would probably be retired right now. But I still have half those Bitcoins, and I could retire in many countries in the world. So it's not a total loss. And I'm still buying Bitcoins. So, but anyway, now I have no rent, no mortgage, no car payment, no nothing. So I am very happy. So basically, yeah, the Bitcoin network's under attack, but it's really promising, and I'm very excited about its future. I'm up, but basically, other than that, I'm just continuing my life as I have. Since I'm kind of planning to move overseas now, my working or my enthusiasm for doing all the permaculture and all this gardening and whatnot has decreased pretty dramatically, and I just don't have I just haven't put as much effort into the yard and the food production and whatnot, because I'm kind of emotionally already backing off from here and sort of mentally preparing to move to some overseas country, and so basically my plans are that probably I'll start taking a couple of vacations this early next year and determine really where I want to go. So yeah, I'm thinking a Bitcoin price of about 6 grand is when I will pull the plug on my job and head for greener pastures. So other than that, that's just what I've been up to, and maybe I'll keep you guys posted in the future. Probably will, and I'll see you around. Later.